Hey everyone, welcome back to Food for Thought Friday. We are so excited that you are here with us today. We have a very special guest. This is Michael Thornton from the SAN Project here with us, and he is going to be telling us all about the project and how to become a self advocate that's powerful to lead in their own community and within their own state. Hi, Michael, how are you today?
I'm doing very well today, Allie. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. I'm really appreciative of you being here with us. Um, Tell me a little bit about the project.
SAND is the Self Advocacy Network Development Program. It is a program that is a collaborative of the um, Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities, the Disability Rights Arkansas, and the University Center for Education on Developmental Disabilities, Partners for Inclusive Communities, which is here in Arkansas. And it is mainly focused on developing self-advocacy here in Arkansas and creating leadership among self-advocacy that creates leaders, that grows leadership. Leaders grow leaders that grow leaders in self-advocacy.
Okay, wonderful. So tell us a little about the steps to become a powerful self advocate.
There will. Really, the first self-advocate step is to just know yourself and to be proud of who you are as a person with a disability.
And tell me this, Michael. I want to just stop you on these steps. And I really want to analyze these if that's okay.
Mhm.
Um, do you find that meeting people with a disability that have not been empowered to do so, do you feel like it's hard to find what in particular that they need to empower them? So, like, and almost like you have to dig deep and find what stripped them of their power in the first place.
Um, I do see that. There's some people that have been told all their life that they can't do something or not given the opportunity to do something that, you know, that they really can do. Uh, and sometimes it takes supports to do things. Sometimes it takes technology, but I think that anybody can do anything that they set out to do. But a lot of times they've been so told you can't do something that you start to believe it, and you know, and that's not the truth. When you start not believing what people have told you, then you start to be able to do more things that you can do. So,
Definitely. I totally understand that. And I mean, that can start happening at such a young age, such a young
mhm,
age. And
it
so,
does.
that can really be embedded into just the marrow of who you are. And
Hmm.
so I think really finding, that first tool that you have there in, your resource kit on how to become a self advocate is very important.
It is. The second tool that I would say is to just get to know the people that you're around, that are around you, and making friends with people. When that happens, though, sometimes you have to realize who is your friend and who isn't your friend too, because there's some people that just are not there to be friends.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And everyone needs a strong network. And no matter who you are, that's going to strengthen who you are as a person. It's really going to grow you. And
Mm-hmm.
being around like minded people that are able to empower you and grow you with knowledge and different knowledge, it's always important. Do you think that it's important um, to be around people who only believe the same way you do, or that type of network, or should your network be strong and diverse?
Honestly, your network should be strong and diverse because sometimes it helps you to grow as a person to understand what other people believe. Because if you don't you have only one focus of what you believe, then it may become too much, and it may be something that's not what's truly needed to, to focus on. Also, you learn, but you learn about yourself too, as a person when you have people who are diverse opinions and diverse things. So it honestly just helps you out all the way around to have people who are not on the same process as you are. Plus
Definitely.
it plus it helps them to know too that it's a matter of community, not just of one certain group.
Yeah, it really ties it together. I mean, community, your network, empowering you. I mean, it's very intersectional.
Hmm. Well, the third thing that the step of self advocacy is learning new things, solving problems, making our cases, and negotiating or asking for what we want as people with disabilities. Because we're innovators, inventors, and when it comes to doing new things or things that haven't been done that way before, because sometimes doing things a different way is a better way, or at least a better way for the person with a disability. And inventing products, there's a lot of products that have been invented, made life easier by people with disabilities, or the idea came from people with disabilities, and someone else helped develop the product. So, you
You
know,
know, you said something very important, and it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was speaking up for what you need. Is what I was getting out of that. Was that right?
yes,
Okay. So, do you think that individuals without disabilities tend to speak over those with?
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
And I mean, nobody knows what someone with a disability needs like the person with a disability.
exactly. And that kind of ties into my fourth point on making decisions for yourself
Mhm.
and and knowing your the responsibilities, because the person with a disability knows themselves, knows what they want, knows what how to ask for it,
Mhm.
or should know. And if they don't know, they can ask for help in making the decisions. You know, not have someone else make it for them, but supports in making the decision, pointing out the good, the bad, and the don't know. You know, which goes into supported decision making.
Yes, and that goes right back to building that network for
Yeah.
yourself, finding someone to be your leader, finding someone that is maybe a little bit further, further along in the journey than you are, so that you can turn to and ask to help you, um, maybe practice your courage, or even practice the things that you need to say when faced, with an uncomfortable conversation, because that's not only individuals with disabilities. You walk into a doctor's office and a physician automatically has more education than you do most of the time.
Mhm.
And so, because we know even doctors go to the doctor, so they get sick too. But it can be very uncomfortable when a physician is telling you that this is definitely the issue, and you're trying to explain to them that we're not talking about why I'm here. And so, practice can be very important. Practice can um, make you feel more courageous and make you feel more assertive almost. And you have a right to be assertive. I feel like everyone does, have a right to put your foot down and demand to be heard as an entire person, because everyone is.
Exactly. And entire person goes into the next one is thinking of the civil rights of other civil rights movements and preserving your rights as a person with disability, but also realizing that your rights intersect with almost every other civil rights movement, because more, when it comes to civil rights, it's something that we must understand, as people with disabilities, because if you look back, all movements for people, all civil rights movements have included people with disabilities, whether it was the civil rights for people with disabilities, the civil rights for people who are Black, people who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, LGBTQIA. I mean, it all intersects, and a um, we all have a place to be in all civil rights movements. So, but and realizing that we're not alone, um, and that there are other people that are just like you. Self advocacy is not a me, myself, and I. It must be a we thing. WE. Uh, that's just the truth, and we includes everybody. So, and you learn from knowing about everybody. So that's just a few more thoughts. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Well, I really want to just dig into a couple of things if that's okay.
Sir?
Um, does a person having a disability automatically make you a self advocate?
No,
Okay.
because, well, let me correct myself. You know what you need, but you don't know how to. Sometimes you don't know how to ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
And advocating is asking and things. It means that you have the right to do it, but sometimes you have to learn how to do it. But there's honestly no right or wrong way either, unless except just ask. But sometimes it's writing down what you want and asking it in a manner where people can understand it and will be willing to work with you. So
Mm-hmm.
it's tricky answer there.
Okay.
No, no, it doesn't automatically make you a self advocate, but yes, you have the right to ask too.
Mm-hmm. So basically, I am just a woman. I'm just a woman. And if I have a need, if I have a want, if I have a desire, I have to be willing to take action and put in the work to get that done. And self advocacy means putting in the work to make that happen for myself.
Yes,
Am I understanding you correctly? I just want
I,
to make sure that I
I,
understand.
I hope I hope that I came across right in my
Okay.
explanation.
Okay.
You have to take the steps to get things done. So,
Okay. Yeah. So it's definitely an action word, advocacy. It's definitely doing something. And people with disabilities all the time decide not to advocate for themselves or aren't allowed or whatever the barrier is for them or the decision that they have made. It could definitely be two different reasons or maybe more. So we definitely don't know everyone's personal story. But advocacy is an action word, and it definitely means that you have to do something.
it does, And another thing when it comes to advocacy is you can self advocate for yourself, but then also you learn more about others by advocating for and with them too. Um, because I connect with people with all sorts of disability, and that's basically being part of a community by doing that. Because when you learn about other people's things that affect people with other types of disabilities, you're part of the community, and that's also listening to their ideas and respecting their opinions, which goes back to previous thing.
Yeah,
Um,
and that sounds like it ties a couple of the steps in together. That's, growing your network in your community. That's, growing your education, and that's making sure that it's not just me, myself, and I. That seems like there's a couple of steps in that, in one. And
it does. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
oh no, no, I feel like that's the world we're living in with Zoom with the lags that we have. um, with with that, with advocating for other people, um, could that be said that in the long run you're still advocating for yourself? Because by advocating, no matter your need or someone else's need, in the long run, the goal is to make a change. The goal is whatever the specifics may be. You're still expanding someone else's knowledge. You are still, asking for inclusion, equity, justice. You're still creating a safer, a bigger space for everyone around you and with disabilities. And that means that you can be in that space too. So, in the long run, advocating for others around you is still advocating for yourself because you get to reap those benefits. And I mean, you're growing the place that you're in, whether it's your nation, your state, your community, your doctor's office that other people can go to, and you too. So,
Mhm. Exactly. You know, it's all about doing the thing that works for everybody. Um, and even if it benefits you, that's added benefit. But if it benefits everybody as a whole, I've been known to go on advocacy marches and stuff with National Adapt. So,
mhm.
that's people with physical disabilities, people with developmental disabilities, people with emotional and mental, and sometimes it's people with all of the above, when it comes to disability. Um, and it's something that in which you feel part of a community when you're doing that. You're not just doing it by yourself, and you get to know how other people have done things when you do it. So, and sometimes if they're doing it, in a certain way, it can help you learn how to do it, do advocacy better. I'm not saying get out there and go with adapt and you know get get into a nonviolent civil disobedience arresting moment if you don't feel comfortable with that. But at least go out there and you know learn from others that have been out there to advocate different ways. It's just another tool in the toolbox as an advocate. Sometimes you have to do things that may not be necessarily what you've ever done, but it helps you in the long run, to figure out how to do things. You know.
Everyone has a place in that advocacy realm, and what you can provide and what you can do and what you can give of yourself can definitely be used. So, like you said, if that civil disobedience is not for you, then you can definitely find a place to give what you have to give, and it can definitely be a benefit and an asset to the movement.
Another thing that if civil disobedience is not for you, but you can follow groups that are doing civil disobedience on Twitter, and if you can just keep doing the reposts and retweets of things that have to do with disability issues and stuff, then you can keep getting the word out. You can tell people why this is important, and you might be able to tell people in a manner that explains what's going on while the groups are doing the civil disobedience. That helps to put pressure back on the people that's being um, protested against of the situation, uh, so that the word gets out. So
And so you have a very extensive toolkit here to learn how to be a self advocate from start to really becoming really powerful. Let's talk about leadership
Mhm.
because, like you said, just because you have a disability does not mean that you are a self advocate or that you are in a position to be able to be a self advocate because of maybe your situation, maybe someone's stopping you, whatever that might be. Um, so let's talk about becoming a self advocate, learning, practicing these steps in your daily life, really becoming empowered and deciding that you want to lead other people and help them become advocates themselves. How does SAND, how does the project that you're coordinating help people do that?
Well, I'm just going to write to tell you what I wrote down yesterday. Sand is thinking about this, and this is helping others to become leaders, to feel the power that they have in becoming a self advocate. Be like a gardener, till the soil, plant the seed, water the plant, pick the crop, train the crop to do the same, and then till the soil again and prepare it to um, for the next growing season. So, tilling the soil is preparing yourself in advance by learning more about self advocacy, and you learn that from people who have been self advocates in the past and who are self advocates. You plant the seed by finding others who are eager to learn about self advocacy and speak into that desire and eagerness. You water the plant by sharing personal stories about yourself and those of others in the self advocacy movement. You teach them the do's, don'ts, and maybes of self advocacy. As I said, there's really no right or wrong way. It's how you feel comfortable in doing it. You pick the crops, and that comes after a time of growth. Plants produce vegetables or fruit, and it's time. It's the same in training people to be a self advocate. When it's time to um, pick them, you will let them go on their own. But before you do, you remind them of their duty to train others to be a self advocate, and you remember as you release them that it'll be now time for you to get the soil ready again, uh, prepare it for the next growing season. So that's how I feel about self advocacy. It's kind of like growing yourself, growing others, and preparing them to grow others, and then getting ready to grow more people. So,
I absolutely loved that analogy. It was so easy for me to understand and really create a connection for what I needed to do and how I could tell people that they could get involved in almost the steps that they needed to take. And I think we all know, you know, somewhat about gardening, no matter what it is, you know what I mean? And that we can relate to that. We've either seen gardening, we've either seen someone else garden, we have learned about it in a book, we have watched it on TV. So it's not something that's unfamiliar to us, but not everyone knows about advocacy. Not everyone has seen it or what they knew what that was, if that makes sense. Not everyone has seen someone speak up for themselves and thought, that's advocacy, that's self advocacy. So they weren't able to make that connection. So they didn't know that that's what they were witnessing. But when you see someone working to try to produce something, to try to give it to someone else so they can also produce something for themselves and then just create, continue the cycle, um, they can also make that connection. So I think that that analogy can really help individuals, um, make a connection within themselves too, Michael. I think that's really great and really beautiful. Um, and I say beautiful for a specific reason because I personally think advocacy is beautiful. Self advocacy, parent advocacy, peer advocacy, no matter what it is, when you are trying to create positive change for yourself, for others, it's a beautiful thing. It really, really is. It's hard.
It
It's
is.
hard. It can hurt sometimes because you might not get what you need, but it's still very, very beautiful.
It's something that, you have your wins, losses, and sometimes it's like, not yet, when it comes to advocacy.
Mhm.
You have to learn to be, and I'm going to say the word because, and I'm not a doctor, but you have to sometimes just learn to be patient
Mhm.
and realize, it may not be the right time. Just, speak up, and maybe the next people that come along can help get things done. That you might just be able to water, plant the seed or water the plant. Someone else might have planted it, and you might just be able to water it. And someone else might be able to produce the crop. And someone else needs to eat it too. But you know, that's just some thoughts to think about when it comes to advocacy. There's been a lot of things that were planted years and years ago that haven't yet come to come to being completely done, but we're working further and further along with it on that on both local, state, and national scene. So
Definitely.
sometimes sometimes you just have to chug along, you know.
Definitely. And every single person, for every positive thing they do, whether it's for themselves, whether it's for each other, that is that's one more step closer. Even if we go to 10 steps back sometimes, we're still making that change. We're still working at it. So I have another question about
Okay.
advocacy for you. Within leadership, personal advocacy, um, and I want to make sure that I'm wording this in the correct way
Mhm.
because personal feelings can definitely get in the way. Um, because of the state of our communities, of our state, of our nation, do people with disabilities sometimes not have an option but to advocate for themselves? Is it um, almost like a job that they have to do?
I think so. Sometimes they feel so threatened by things that have happened that, keep them from doing things that, it's almost like a full-time job on top of jobs that they may or may not have. So some people, that's something that a lot of people with disabilities want to work, and some of them do have work, but yet they're always advocating for better things, and stuff. And it's an unpaid position of, you know, trying to get things done, and yet, it's very little reward sometimes. So,
I totally understand that. Full time position of bettering your life and those around you that you might have not have wanted in the first place, but it had to be done. Um, and sometimes that might seem unfair. Maybe you want a day off, but you feel like you just might not be able to take one. There's not time to do that. And so I think that's why it might be number one important to explain to people that the movement is so important. Number two, to explain to people why you specifically need to be making decisions for yourself. That way, others don't make decisions for you and set you back, put you in a position that you don't want. And then three, I think that it might be important to tell the individuals that you're bringing in and others, um, that when they do step into this advocacy realm, how important it is to still take time for themselves personally to not be working towards that change. Because no matter how strong and how personal the goal is, burnout is real. Burnout is
Exactly.
very real. I've experienced it. You've experienced it. I'm sure that people within our, that are watching this video have experienced it. And when you feel um heavy under something that has to change right now because it's scary or you need it or all of the above, you can feel guilty for feeling like you need to take a break. But we're still only one person, one group, one community, and we can't do everything all the time. And we can't pour from an empty cup. When we have nothing else to give, that's it. So we can't get to that point. um why don't you tell us about burnout and tell us about self-care, Michael, because I know how
Oh,
important it
I'm
is.
glad that you went on this track because I have always talked about self-care, and sadly, since the pandemic started and since I was running, as part of my self-care, I like to exercise and get out and run. Sadly, back in November, I just stopped for one, and did not really get back. And I basically suffered from burnout just recently because I wasn't doing the running, doing the exercise, and doing something that kept my mind, or relieved my mind of the stress and stuff and things. Uh, which yesterday I went back out and ran yesterday afternoon. Tomorrow morning I'm gonna get out and run. If I can't run outside due to the weather, I'm going on the treadmill in the gym. But I'm not saying you have to run and exercise for self care. Self care is anything that helps you relieve stress, relieve thought, anxiety. It can be writing, it can be reading, it can be eat. For some people, self care is eating or indulging in something sweet, ice cream or something. Um, it's just something that gives you a little bit of freedom from the day to day advocacy or work activity that you do that helps you think. It can also be done like 5, 10 minutes a day or every so often, or 5 minutes an hour or something. Like if you need to just get up and stretch, or you know, just to get away from the computer and stuff. If you're on a computer all day, just take and get out of your chair, stretch, or lift yourself up out of the chair or stretch or something. It's nothing that isn't major thing. I mean, it's like, oh, I'm going on self care and I'm going to do this. It can just be something simple. Like
So you're not telling people they have to go to the beach. You're telling people to just take a little bit of time and take
yeah,
care of themselves.
yeah. Although the beach sounds real good right about now. After last week here in Arkansas and this week, it's like a whole different story. But you know, um, it's just something that helps you relieve stress, relieve your anxiety, and it can be you know a quick 10 minutes. Turn off the deal. Find a meditation thing on iTunes or or something, or just classical music sometimes to listen to for 5 minutes and just don't think about anything else. Just allow yourself. Don't go to sleep in that 5 minutes. But it's something that um, it's just a simple. It can be simple or it can be hard, but hard like running. But at least that gives you something to not think about. A lot of times when I'm running, I don't think about anything else but making sure that I'm going down the trail or down the road if I'm able to run on the road and watching for cars. So but anyway, that's simple thoughts about self-care. We all need it. We all should do it. And a lot of times people, especially lately, have not been doing it as effectively as they should. Because I'm not the only one that I've seen talk about uh, kind of burning out, zooming out too, because we can get on Zoom calls and it's like, take some self care, even if they have to turn the camera off so that nobody can see you stretching. Turn it off. It can be running in the background, but get up and stretch. Do something.
I'm so glad that you gave us those tips, Michael. I really feel like you started from the beginning. You told us how to enter the advocacy realm and why it may be hard for someone to do that because they may be stripped of their power. How? How that may have happened, when that may have happened, at such a young age. And you led us all the way up into the point of becoming a leader and how we can develop ourselves as a leader and then becoming so active in the movement that it's time to take a break and pick it right back up again. So tell me if I'm wrong, but sand is here to support all of this. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. So tell me, if it's time to start your leadership journey and you are ready to start a chapter, what does a chapter look like? What does that mean?
I say the first chapter of anything is to know your story as a person with a disability and to write down your story of what your life has been, or to have someone else write it down. If you're not able to write it effectively, talk to someone that can write down your story and just, or maybe even the cliff notes of your story, and so that you can have it and be able to tell things in a way. That's just the beginning point of self advocacy.
Okay.
Uh,
So is that something that a leader that's wanting to start a sand chapter in their community, they need to have that to be able to really share with the people
well,
they want to lead?
I say if you know your story, you can help encourage others by telling your story,
Hmm.
and then be able to ask others that have disabilities. That's just a thought process. The reason I say your story is I think mine really started back in 2000. I mean, I had always been a person with disabilities, but
Mhm.
back in 2006 or so, I wrote my story as a person with disability for composition class at UALR, and people calling me the R word. So for others, it's a different word, and so I think that was the true beginning of my self advocacy journey because I was able to write down. It may not even be writing your story. It may just be having it in your head, like an elevator speech, like a quick thing. Um,
So having that story and wanting to be a leader in your community, when Sam says they want to start that chapter or they'll help others start a
mhm.
chapter, is a chapter like a support group?
It is. It can be a support group. Sometimes it can be. I say a chapter needs to have at least two people in it. It can start with one,
Okay.
just somebody that wants to start one.
Okay.
But that one person needs to find somebody else to help them along, so that it's not just one person, saying this is a chapter, but they're not reaching out to anybody.
Right. Okay.
I say anybody that starts one needs to reach out to others, and if they have trouble finding people, there's ways of reaching out and learning about agencies that help people with disabilities in your community that can help you connect with others with disabilities. See if they want to be part of of a chapter. I have imagined, or I imagine that once you start doing that, you'll find that others really want to be connected to people with disabilities and learn about how to advocate better.
And I just want to clarify one more
Mhm.
time. You and the SAN program, the SAN network, will be there to assist these individuals along the way.
Oh yes,
Okay.
oh yes. You know,
Okay.
that
So
I really want to get more involved in doing that. There's two or three chapters that I know of right now, but I'd like to see more than that. I'd like to see people that are, that want to start, even if it's in a small community, you know, a small community uh, can reach out and grow to other areas in that area too. So,
that was definitely my next question, Michael, is what's the goal for Arkansas? Is it one chapter per county? Allowing others that maybe don't have transportation
oh,
to be able to utilize or
well, right now I think we have four different ones that I know of, and we're hoping for six by the end of July.
okay.
That's kind of hard to do when you can't meet with people in person. But I would be glad to talk via phone or via Zoom meeting with anybody that would like to talk about things. But I would like to see at least one in each corner, but maybe two or three in each corner eventually, because you can have a corner of the state covered, but it may not cover the whole area of that corner. So
Mm-hmm.
it would be glad to have several areas, uh, maybe three, maybe total of. I mean, I'm just putting out numbers, but since we have 75 counties in the state, it would be good if one covered each three. If we have one that covered three counties or 15 different groups, but I know here in Central Arkansas, we can have more, and that's fine too. It just, because some of these agencies don't connect with other agencies, they can, reach their people that are in it. So if they want to start a SAN chapter in their agency that helps people with disabilities, then that'll be great. It'll help that particular group of people that's involved. Like United Cerebral Palsy has a Arkansas People First chapter. The chapters are really supposed to be Arkansas People First, but they can be any type of disability, I think, because and this uh, is for developmental disabilities. But as I said, we all connect in some way or form or another when it comes to disability. So we can all learn from each other, and we should, because advocacy is advocacy. And I'm going to say my friend's famous, Liz Montront's famous words from her testimony from a Senate committee a few years ago. All means all. So if you advocate for one group of people with disabilities, you advocate for all group of people with disabilities. So that's why I have friends with many different types of disabilities, and I love it. I learn from them. So we
Yeah,
just that's what we need to do is we need to learn from one another, not be afraid, to learn, that hey, sometimes one person with a physical disability also has a developmental disability or some other type of disability.
mhm.
So it all connects. But anyway, that's some thoughts there.
Definitely. I definitely agree. I'm really glad that we were able to have you here today, Michael. You are very, very intelligent. You have been so active. You serve on various boards and committees. You currently serve as the president of the Disability Coalition Board, and you were nominated as the Community Advisory Committee of University of Arkansas Partners for Inclusive Communities. Is that
Yes, well,
correct?
I've actually served in the past as a chairman on that community advisory committee, and I had to be off for 1 year as officio because I turned out. Well, I'm going to be able to be back on it again starting this month in March. So, not as a chairman, but as a committee member. So, uh, it's kind of like once you get on, it's kind of like if you do a good job, yes, you have to sit out officially for 1 year, but they'll definitely want you back. And we are looking for at least one or two other people with disabilities. It does not have to be someone with a developmental, well, it does have to be someone with a developmental disability, but it does not have to be someone with on the autism spectrum. We need a variety of people with disabilities. I've already asked one friend that has spina bifida if she would like to be on it, and but we're looking for someone for that committee that fits the committee as a person with a disability, but uh, can help out. So
Definitely, we'll definitely be spreading that word and keeping that in mind. Like I said, so knowledgeable, so active in so many things to help create positive change for so many people for our entire state of Arkansas. Not only everything that I just listed, not only the SAND project, but you're also the self advocacy faculty advisor for the Arkansas and Mississippi Leadership Education and Neurodevelopment and Related Disabilities program. So you have a full plate all the time. Not to mention the various volunteer programs that you are lending your expertise to. So, I mean, we really appreciate you being here. We appreciate all the help that you give to Community of Champions. And we appreciate the toolkit that you have put together to allow others to become strong advocates themselves and even leaders within their communities and within the state, allowing them to also help people up and become active within the movement.
well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on today. It's been really good. I'm sitting here encouraging myself by talking about things. So, and hearing you talk about things. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we always have a great time together. If anyone wants to get a hold of you, Michael, to maybe get some more information to talk about how to be a part of this SAN network, how can they do that?
Well, they can email me at, hold on, I know my email, but they can email me at M as in Michael,
Mhm.
THORNTON at disabilityrightsar.org, and or they can call me directly at 501-492-5751.
Okay.
So that's just a few numbers, and I'll be glad to give you that information so you can put it on the Community of Champions Facebook page, or I'll put it in the video link. So
Wonderful, wonderful. And we will also have everything listed here on this video that will be left up on the Community of Champions page, so they will have easy access to you. Whenever they get to view this video, we'll also have a survey on the comment section of this video. So fill that out. It will probably take you 1 minute. We want to know if you appreciated these tools and you found them useful. We want to know what you thought of Food for Thought Friday today, what you thought of Michael's tools, if you found them useful, and if you feel like you're going to put them to good use. So This is Community of Champions, and it is always a privilege for us to be able to bring you the resources that you need to be a very strong advocate. And like we talked about earlier, advocacy takes action. And we don't want you to go out into the world and not know how to advocate. We want to lay a strong foundation for you and clear us a clear path for you to be able to do everything that you need to do and want to do and create the change that you want to see. We're always here for you, and we hope that we are making the connections and building the connections for you to know that others are there for you too. So anytime you need Community of Champions, anytime that you need the SAN network, you know that they're there for you too. And Michael, again, I appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Sally. I appreciate you too. And I will say this, you have been a great family advocate member of the LEND program. Just to encourage you and to say if anybody wants to know about the leadership education on neurodevelopmental and related disabilities program, I think Allie would be a great person to talk to about that. So
Thank you so much, Michael. Well, I hope you'll come and see us again on Food for Thought Friday. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. See you next
thank
week.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. And all right, I'll talk to you later.